Welcome to the Global Pulse, a short video series where our experts break down a trending topic in international business and why it matters to you.
A number of effective COVID-19 vaccines have now become available. At the same time, new variants have emerged recently, and there's fear that existing vaccines may be less effective against them. Against this background, international trade rules for vaccines have become a contentious issue. Recently, the European Union imposed some export restrictions, although they were forced to backtrack in the case of Northern Ireland. The UK is set to be considering restrictions as well. At the other extreme, India, which is a major vaccine manufacturer, has been engaging in what has been called vaccine diplomacy, giving millions of doses of the vaccine to neighboring countries, even though it has barely gotten a domestic vaccination program off the ground itself. One important issue has been intellectual property protections or patent rules for COVID-19 vaccines and drugs. The WTO agreement on intellectual property protection is the trade-related aspects of intellectual property or TRIPS agreement. India and South Africa floated the idea in December of a waiver that would override patent rules, allowing generic or other manufacturers to make vaccines and drugs. The proposed waiver would last until the world has herd immunity and the pandemic is declared over. And many developing countries have come out in favor of this. The proposal was opposed by the United States, UK, Switzerland, basically countries with significant pharmaceutical industries. The WTO has delayed a discussion of this proposal, and it appears to be at an impasse. So is the waiver a good idea? Pharmaceutical companies that develop the vaccines have argued for the enforcement of intellectual property protections. It's a familiar argument that not allowing companies to profit from the fruits of their invention would blunt the incentive to invest. For instance, the CEO of Pfizer claimed that IP is what brought a solution to the pandemic in the first place. And we may well need the ingenuity of these companies even in this pandemic if new vaccines are needed to control the variants. It's also worth noting that some companies propose to sell the vaccine at cost while the pandemic lasts and at cost to poor countries even after that. Moreover, those opposed to waivers argue that the TRIPS agreement already has mechanisms within it to enable countries to compulsorily license patented products. Which is true, but the process is both cumbersome and there's some ambiguity when it comes to cell lines needed for vaccines. They point also to voluntary measures such as donations to WHO's COVAX facility as an alternative. These are all good arguments, but the central issue is the need to get the vaccine to people everywhere quickly. The new variants have changed the calculation. So long as the virus keeps raging through the world's population, new variants will continue to arise. And they will then inevitably spread everywhere. So it's important to use all the world's production capacity as speedily as we can. Spreading out the production also protects against the dangers of vaccine nationalism, of which we have already seen worrying signs. Whether it's a TRIPS waiver or some other emergency mechanism that protects the profits and property of the vaccine developers, such as governments collectively purchasing patents and licensing them to producers, the need to expand and globally diversify vaccine production could not be more urgent.